Minasan yokoso. Hey everyone, it's Aaliyah with Beyond the Frame, YouTube's #1 resource for everything behind the scenes of your favorite films, TV shows, and anime. And today, we are going behind the scenes of the insanely wild and incredible anime Shingeki no Kyojin: Attack on Titan, specifically Season 2. In today's video, we're unpacking the intense backlash and division among some fans, their creators' pain while making the show, as well as Reiner's mental collapse, the philosophical question posed by the creator, what is freedom, Ymir's complicated sacrifice, and the struggles the voice actors went through while working on AOT, which I go into near the end of the video, so stick around for that. But with that being said, let's get into it. Now, I'll be honest with you, the reason I'm a sucker for Attack on Titan is because of the Titans. Like seriously, the animation of these beautifully grotesque creatures was mind-blowing, and no matter how heartbreaking or gut-wrenching AOT was, I couldn't stop watching it. But here's what really surprised me about the show. While Season 1 was focused on humans versus Titans, Season 2 shifts into something deeper. The talented creator Hajime Isayama takes us into a world that is deeply focused on the psychological toll of warfare. Relationships start unraveling, trust becomes a luxury, while lies, betrayal, and guilt devastate each of the AOT characters. But to me, I think the theme that ties all this chaos together is freedom. In Season 2, we see just how far people are willing to go to chase their own version of freedom, what they'll sacrifice, who they'll betray, and honestly, it made me reflect on my own life, thinking about what freedom means to me and what I'd be willing or not willing to do to get it. The Tower arc is a perfect example. With Eren out of the picture, everyone's surrounded by Titans. No one is safe physically or emotionally. But this is also when the story gives us something beautiful. We finally get to see these characters as individuals, especially the ones who barely got any screen time in Season 1, because now they're not just side characters anymore, they're people we can relate to. And I feel with this important shift, everything changes. Because the one who unfortunately embodies the idea of internal war and struggle is Reiner. Reiner is probably one of the most tragic characters in AOT, and on the outside, he's this dependable big brother who comes off as loyal, capable, and dedicated to his fellow soldiers, but in the inside, he's very broken. Season 2 peels back the layers of Reiner's mind, and what we see is truly heartbreaking, but to a degree, kind of relatable. Staying inside the walls for so long and building bonds with the very people he was sent to destroy caused a major fracture in the mind that was inevitable. But to really understand why, we have to go back to the beginning. As a child, Reiner was desperate to become a warrior. He yearned for praise, love, and acceptance, which is very human, because like most of us, he just wanted to be seen and accepted for who he truly was, without judgment. Reiner believed that if he succeeded as a warrior, his absent father might finally accept him. But that fantasy wasn't just his. It was passed down from his mother, who clung to the hope that they could be honorary citizens. But the truth is, neither of Reiner's parents could give him real love. His father rejected him because he was Eldian, while his mother, a victim of propaganda, pressured Reiner to seek acceptance from a society that fundamentally hated him. With parents living in two opposing worlds, it severely limited Reiner's chances of growing up in a healthy and loving environment. So when Marcel died saving him, Reiner snapped. He probably felt like in order to survive, it was necessary to adopt many of the traits he admired in Marcel, which is why Reiner's character was so disturbingly brilliant, because we realized this wasn't just a role, it was a coping mechanism. And he wore that mask for so long, he began to forget what his real face looked like. But this only gets crazier when we see that scene. Yes, that scene where Reiner casually pulls Eren aside and drops that insane reveal like it was nothing. I remember having to rewind that scene multiple times because I couldn't believe the creator did that. But that's exactly why the scene felt so real. There was no dramatic music, no close-up reveal, just a quiet, unbelievably surreal moment between Reiner, Eren, and Berthold, while the others continued to walk out of the shot. And when that reveal happened, Reiner didn't necessarily look like he was scheming. Rather, he looked lost. The creator, Hajime Isayama, shared that Reiner is a character who carries the burden of Isayama-san's own self-reflection. Reiner's character arc isn't just about betrayal or war, it's about trauma. Reiner was a child who was brainwashed into becoming a war machine, yet lacked the tools needed to handle the aftermath associated with war and devastation. After living such a deeply layered lie, Reiner couldn't tell what was right or wrong anymore. So eventually, he gave in. He let go of the soldier mask and reverted to being a warrior, not because he wanted to, but because he didn't know how to be anything else. I would love to hear your thoughts on Reiner and what you thought about his character design. Let me know in the comments. Now, it's important to mention, Reiner wasn't the only one struggling with identity and purpose. Season 2 also shines a light on Ymir, who has a brutal backstory. Born into poverty, she was taken in by a cult that worshipped her as a symbol of Eldian hope. But when Marley discovered the group, they turned on Ymir, branding her as a traitor and sentencing her to a mindless life as a pure Titan, doomed to aimlessly wander the world for decades. Until one day, she devoured Marcel and inherited the Jaw Titan, getting a second chance at life. Ymir's survival instincts are fierce. She isn't driven by ideals or loyalty to any particular cause. What really drives her is freedom. the freedom to choose her own path even if that path is messy, misunderstood, or selfish, which further explains why Ymir doesn't want to be a hero. She just wants to live. And honestly, I can relate to that. Then there's her relationship with Historia. Ymir can see aspects of herself in Historia, a girl forced to wear a mask to survive, another pawn in someone's game. To Historia, she sees Ymir as a chance to protect the one thing that still feels pure and meaningful to her, not because someone told her to, but because she wants to. But when push comes to shove, Ymir makes a heartbreaking choice. She sides with Reiner and Bertholdt. And I don't think she necessarily believed or even cared about their mission. Rather, her decision seemed like she was choosing Historia, or should I say choosing for Historia. In Ymir's eyes, Historia was finally starting to live for herself, and Ymir believed if she stayed, she would ultimately drag Historia further into war. But by removing herself and repaying the debt she feels she owes for stealing Marcel's freedom, Ymir sacrifices her own freedom in the hope that Historia can finally live her own life. Although this decision seems one-sided, for Historia, she never wanted this. Because she didn't want Ymir's protection, she wanted to be with Ymir. These relationships show us that freedom isn't just a political concept in AOT, it's deeply personal. Sometimes it means saving others, sometimes it means losing yourself, and sometimes it means walking away from the one thing that made you feel human in the first place. And throughout the series, I found myself really thinking about what freedom means in a world like AOT. Is it the absence of walls, the ability to live guilt-free, or the ability to create your own path? But unfortunately, the characters in Season 2 are imprisoned in chains, whether it be by their past, duty, or personal trauma. Take Levi, for example. My favorite character, by the way. Levi is considered to be one of the strongest soldiers in the show, but he is trapped by all the lives he couldn't save. He carries the ghosts of the fallen, their deaths leaving invisible scars across his soul. And yet, the more powerful he becomes, the more lives he has to watch be taken from him. Erwin, on the other hand, faces a different kind of prison: ambition. His dream is to uncover the secrets of the world, aka the basement, which is believed to hold the truth beyond the walls. He risks countless lives chasing something he knows he might never live to see, but for Erwin, freedom isn't about survival, it's about finding the truth no matter the cost to ensure humanity can continue moving forward. Then, there is the dearly beloved and eccentric Hange, who toggles between fascination and horror. Hange is obsessed with understanding Titans, but that obsession blinds Hange from the cruelty and suffering going on, because in the pursuit of answers, freedom becomes an endless experiment, one that at times loses its moral center. Lastly, if we look at Eren, we see the early cracks in his mind, or should I say, the beginning of his fanatic obsession with freedom. One could argue that freedom holds him in a chokehold, one so powerful that he's willing to destroy anything or anyone who tries to control him. In the beginning, his actions feel righteous, maybe even heroic. Defeat the Titans, save humanity. But as time passes and the world reveals itself to be far messier and a crueler place than he ever imagined, the betrayals, lies, and losses start to twist his understanding of freedom. His rage becomes so formidable that he finally reaches the conclusion that if the world is determined to chain him down, he'll burn it all to the ground to be free. But of course, this is just my opinion, so I'd love to hear what you think about this, especially the idea of freedom in the show. Now, there was some controversy the show experienced, specifically the fact that Season 2 only had 12 episodes. As you can imagine, many fans were confused, if not frustrated, by such a short season. People felt like the momentum the anime had built in Season 1 was slowed down, while others argued if the wait for Season 2 was even worth it. But on the flip side, there were many who acknowledged the tighter narrative, saying that every episode helped push the plot forward, as well as deepen the psychological complexity of so many characters. So while the frustration and criticism is understandable, Season 2 also gave us a deeper storyline that took the AOT series from survival and action to philosophical, heartbreaking, and deeply multi-layered. For those of you still with me, we have finally arrived to one of my favorite sections, trivia. You probably realized that Levi was kind of absent from Season 2, and this was intentional. Creator Isayama-san confirmed that Levi doesn't appear much in Season 2 because he is too powerful of a character, and the team wanted the focus to be on the newer characters and their internal struggles. Levi was so popular that he would have overshadowed key arcs, so he was deliberately sidelined with an injury to give the other characters more time to shine. During the early production for Season 2, it was discussed to be longer with 24 to 26 episodes, however, it was eventually condensed to 12 episodes to help maintain animation quality and stay closely to the manga's pacing schedule. Bertholdt's Japanese voice actor, Tomohisa Hashizume, has mentioned that Bertholdt seemed like one of the most normal characters in AOT, making it even harder to perform his voice. He later admitted that in Season 1, he was so distressed by the character that he struggled to balance the emotions of fear, guilt, sadness, and loyalty without letting too much emotion slip out. If you remember, she reads a can of herring in an ancient language, giving us a subtle hint that she was not an ordinary recruit. This is Aaliyah with Beyond the Frame, AOT Season 2. Are we in? Are we out? What do we think? Let me know. Attack on Titan is one of the craziest, most memorable shows I have ever seen, and I'm so grateful I got to make this video. This video is part 2 of my AOT series where I do a deep dive into each season, so definitely check out my Season 1 video because within the first episode, the creator actually spoiled the series and tells us exactly what's gonna happen in the finale. And when I first saw it, I was blown away. Isayama-san knew exactly what he was doing. And as many of you already know, I'm an anime nerd with a fascination for trivia. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Ja, mata ne!